Now, this illustration is designed to show you strategically what's going on. Ortona is up here. Okay, you can see that the goal is to get to Rome. Obviously, the Germans want to hold the capital of Italy. The Allies want to get the capital of Italy. Capital cities tend to be very strategic targets. So we can see the Gustav line and the Hitler line. The Hitler line and the Gustav line at some point meld together to become one line. And then beyond that is the Caesar line. Now it's interesting, if you look down here, this place is called Anzio, and you can see that while most of the Allies are behind the Gustav line, there's this group of Allied soldiers up here at Anzio. The idea was to take a division of Allied soldiers and land them at Anzio, and that would force the Germans to take soldiers from the Adolf Hitler line and the Gustav line and to bring them back to help support the Caesar line. The American commander who landed at Anzio didn't feel confident. He didn't like the plan, and he tended to be somewhat passive. He was criticized for this after the war. Churchill, who had designed this plan, was very angry with him for not taking the initiative and trying to go on to Rome. It's interesting that Kesselring, after the war, said that what he did was probably the correct thing, because if he had tried to overextend himself with his relatively small force and try to go to Rome, he would have been annihilated by the German soldiers, which outnumbered him by far. The breakout wasn't made. This attack at Anzio happened in January. The breakout wasn't made until May, and then Rome fell in the beginning of June in the same year. After the Battle of Ortona, you can see that the Canadian division is now in reserve. Okay, so they've had a very tough time getting through Ortona, and they're now at the back of the line, and the other soldiers are giving them a rest. Okay, so we can see that the Italian campaign ends in February of 1945. The Canadian soldiers who fought in the 1st Division in Italy were called the D-Day Dodgers. Remember that the 2nd and 3rd Divisions landed at D-Day. After the 1st Division finished in Italy, they were moved into Northwest Europe, where they joined the other Canadians, and they were all involved in the liberation of the Netherlands. Okay, so what are some conclusions that we can draw from the Battle of the Ortona? Well, we need to know that it's fought by the 1st Division, and the 1st Division was given the nickname the D-Day Dodgers. Okay, we know about the ferocity of the fighting. We know that Ortona is called Little Stalingrad. We know that this battle took place over Christmas in 1943, and we learned about the dinner that the Seaforce created for their soldiers. In terms of the bigger picture, we now understand that Ortona is one end of the Winter Line, and that the Winter Line was a line that Hitler ordered be held in order to block the Allies on their road to Rome. When we think about Ortona, we think about the vicious street fighting and the large number of threats that the attackers came under as they entered the town. Okay, we learned about mouse holing, this idea of using explosive charges to blow holes in walls so that the soldiers can make their way down a road, not using the street, but using the buildings themselves. This is important because it shows the adaptive nature of soldiers. If things aren't working, you've got to change the plan so that it will work. And then finally, we learned about the high cost of Ortona and the great number of casualties that were suffered there. At the end of the battle, there's a computer-generated sign at the bottom. This is Ortona, a West Canadian town. Remember that the brigade that fought in Ortona were from Western Canada, and so they put that sign up on the outskirts of town. Now, you can see that I've put in orange 2 of the so whats. It would be your job as a student to be able to look at the other bullets and to try to come up with a so what for each one of those points as well.